is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and with me today is a very special guest, Phil Stiefel from All About the Birds. My man, how you doing tonight? And thank you for joining us.
No, thank you. I'm honored to come on your show. Before we came on the line, you're thanking me. I'm like, nah, this is big. I love the work that you do here, and all your shows are very entertaining and knowledgeable and all that other great stuff. So I'm excited to be here with you.
Dude, I appreciate that, man. And, we got to meet through Scotty, and I'm really happy about that. And that's what this show is about. So I truly appreciate the kind words, man. We're always trying to spread that brotherly love. And from what I've seen from you, that's what you're doing. And a very knowledgeable man yourself, actually goes by the tag Beard A Knowledge. You can find him at Twitter. But I want to give this time here, Phil, for you to introduce yourself a little bit. Let the people know where they can find you, because I'm telling you, so far what I've seen, I've really liked it. And I know All About the Birds puts out some really great content. So go ahead, check those guys out. Check out Phil. But Phil, let these people know where they can find you, man, because you're doing some great things yourself.
Oh, I appreciate those kind words as well. Obviously, Beard of Knowledge. That's my Twitter handle. You can follow me. The one thing you'll find, if you're a new follower of mine, I'm one of the most engaging people out there. Every single person, if you comment on a post of mine, if you send me a message, I will engage each and every one of you. I'm not one of those people that'll say your opinion's stupid or you're an idiot and just blow you off. No, I will engage and chat with every single person, because that's what we do as fans. I'm a Philly 444. I'm told by my boy Mike that it should be 5 for 5 because the Philadelphia Union are the best team in Philadelphia right now. That's what you get. But on social media at Beard of Knowledge. All About the Birds every Wednesday night, 9:15. And then I do a golf podcast on Tuesday nights with my friend Jason, because people think once football season's over, fantasy football, that's it. No. Fantasy golf and gambling on golf is the greatest roller coaster of emotions you will ever go through.
Don't do it to me, Phil. Don't get me started.
It's amazing. It's forward instead of a 1-day sweat. It's a 4-day roller coaster, and I love it. So we do a nice hour-long golf podcast every Tuesday night, Fairway to Heaven. So
nice. Oh, little Zeppelin in there.
Yeah, a little rock and roll mixed in with the name there.
I like that. I like that a lot. Dude, and guys, check it out. If you're into golf, whatever it is, I see All About the Birds doing a lot of stuff out there. And, I'm always here putting out your Birds content, but we're always looking to show you guys where else, where you can share that brotherly love. Scotty was on the other day talking Sixers. So there's a lot to love here, guys. We're 4 for 4, but hey, there's Union guys out there. There's golfers.
5 for 5. We gotta go Union too.
I'm for it. I'm for it. I enjoy soccer. Today, I actually was in Hershey. I got to try Primanti Brothers. Is that how you Primanti Brothers for the first time? Yeah, it was all right.
A little overrated in my book, but
Yeah, I'm more of a Philly guy, but hey, Pittsburgh stuff, whatever. But I saw France and Switzerland, maybe it was, playing. That was a pretty entertaining game. So I was like, hey, sometimes it can be entertaining. So I'm with you. 5 for 5 it. Let's go Union. At least somebody's winning, right?
Somebody's winning.
It's been rough, man. But dude, let's be real. It's been tough the past few years with the Eagles. So you try to send a positive message, and sometimes people don't really want to hear that positive message because it's been really down in the dumps. But I'll be real with you. We had to do some things. They hurt a little, getting rid of Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz. However people feel about them, they're gone. And it's time to move on. And, I know Howie's still here, and that's a lot of people's issue. But, hey, we got to hope that this new coach, this new quarterback, they can build the right culture, and we can grow toward, better things on the fairway to heaven. I really just think that this damn team really, has some high hopes here. But, I wanted to talk about that with you today, Phil. There's a lot of chatter out there, a lot of negativity, but I see some optimism starting, Yeah. So I really want to get a knowledgeable guy on here like yourself. So I thought we'd start off today. My thoughts on the draft. I really liked that draft. A lot of people know that, but I wanted to talk about that with you first. I really want to see if you were looking at it the way I did. We really had to go into that, in my opinion, best player available. I thought we stuck to that. We got a Heisman guy, got an additional 1st and 5th. So I think, for me, it was a good draft. But hey, let me know what you thought of the draft, but also, who was maybe your favorite draft pick? Who's maybe your sleeper draft pick? And what were your overall thoughts on how Howie handled the draft.
Look, I'm one of those guys that's not happy that Howie is still, a part of the team. But let me tell you something, not just the draft, the entire offseason. It seems like Howie's had, on paper, a really solid offseason. And when you talk about the draft specifically, each pick at the moment, you get your emotions, you have your favorite players, and whatnot, and they don't have it. But then after the draft's over and you sit back a little bit and you really think about the whole draft picture. I mean, Howie nailed the draft. And you say wide receiver, Heisman. I mean, I'm a defensive guy. I grew up in the Jim Johnson era and the Buddy Ryan era. I love smash mouth, hard nosed defenses. I know. I see the hat there. I got you on that. Me and you probably think alike with that. And
love it.
But that's not where the NFL is going these days. You need offense and you need weapons because that's what it is. You need to be able to score as many points as possible to win in the NFL these days. You also have a very young quarterback, and you can't really get a good judgment on whether he is the future of this team unless you surround him with as many weapons as possible. And getting Devontae Smith, now trading up with the Cowboys, there's that, emotional hatred to do that and all. But getting Devontae Smith, there is no excuses for Jalen Hurts this upcoming season. He's got not only a great weapon to add to the weapons we have, but someone he has a relationship with. So they are already day one on the same page. So there's no excuses. There's all this positivity, no negativity. But on the flip side of the equation, this is it. He could prove that any of the doubters in the Eagles front office, because there are still some doubters in the Eagles front office, I think, on whether Hurts is the future or not. He can prove them all wrong because he's got the weapons. He's got a rebuilt and healthy offensive line. I mean, this draft, especially early on, just put all the onus on, is Jalen Hurts the future of this team or not?
Yeah, love what you said there, and I love what you said about letting that draft marinate a little bit, really seeing what it looked like afterwards. And I was the same way. There were guys like JOK on the board where everybody lost their mind, and I get it. And the heart condition made him fall, whatever it is. But we went with best player available. And when you look at it as a whole in the end, it's like, well, we did pretty well. And you're right. Jalen Hurts, I have high hopes for him, but we don't know what's going to happen. There's probably going to be some bumpy roads. He's, his first time being a starter to begin the year. But let's be real here. This is his only chance to prove it this year. You're right. They went out. They got you another first-round receiver. They spent another one of their first-round picks on a receiver 2 years in a row. So now you have no excuses. And if you don't, well, they have possibly 3 first-round picks next year, and they will replace your ass in a minute. You're right.
I said it before. I don't think that he would even be the starting quarterback right now going into the season if Deshaun Watson didn't have that legal issues going on. I mean, they build up all this draft capital to make a move if they moved on from Carson Wentz. They have basically three first-round picks next year. They're there to get a quarterback if you need a quarterback. And I really feel there's enough people that aren't sold on Hurts. Now, obviously, Watson's issues now give Hurts the perfect opportunity to prove. And I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. I loved him at Alabama. Thought he got a raw deal at Alabama. Still, even after he got benched, came in and played when Tua got hurt, played well, won the SEC title game that year when Tua got hurt. Went to Oklahoma. I was praying for an Oklahoma-Bama title game that year just because I wanted Jalen Hurts to shove it to Nick Saban. So I'm a huge, huge Jalen Hurts fan. I just don't know if the organization and the fan base and everything else is on board with that.
No, you're 100% correct there, Phil. And they're not. There's so much chatter, and it's not just chatter. There's a lot of times where it's just rumors, things like that. But the Eagles were acquiring capital to try to get that quarterback. We are the quarterback factory, and whether people want to believe it or not, you're right. Deshaun Watson was looked into. Aaron Rodgers was looked into. And look, the moves weren't made because they didn't get the right trade, but they're still looking. But
still being dangled in there, right there,
But it wasn't there at the time for the draft, so they build around Hurts, and this is it. Okay, buddy, here's your shot, and you're exactly right, dude. And you hit the nail on the head with everything you said there. And my man Sam in the building, love that you're tuning in, man. And Rob, pleasure to have you, Eagles Inc., all you guys. It's awesome to have you guys in the building. Any questions or comments you want to throw our way, please feel free. We're just getting into this, talking the draft first. But, just talking about how we like the draft. You said you're a defensive guy. I myself, Buddy Ryan, I had to hear about him nonstop from my dad. But let me tell you, when Buddy Ryan, and then Jim Johnson came and it was like, huh. So grew up with, Trotter, Dawkins. We're used to defense, man. So when you want some headhunters, you want to see, and now you don't want to do that anymore. I'm just saying, you want some tough dudes out there. And we haven't seen that, man. We want somebody that's going to come out and fight. So we got Jonathan Gannon. We got a whole new staff. No more picket fence. None of this BS. We're going to come at you. And I really think, Jonathan Gannon's defense is going to be very exciting. And I love what you said about defense. In this draft, we took 6 out of 9 of our picks were defensive players. We went with wide receiver first, and you said it. We got to score points. We got to see if Jalen Hurts is the guy. Went out, got that guy for him. Then you get Jason Kelsey's replacement. But then you just stack up. Other than Kenny Gainwell, you took defensive players, man. So out of those defensive players in this draft class, who do you see, not just this year, because a lot of these guys, maybe one's more talented than the other, but he's maybe got Fletcher Cox in front of him or something. Who do you think in the long run in this draft?
I think you kind of just threw me a lifeline. Like Fletcher Cox might be in front of a certain third round pick that we took. Again, at that moment, Jabril Cox was still on the board.
Yeah.
You still had other cornerbacks on the board.
5th round of the Cowboys. Crazy.
But Howie did what in the 2nd and 3rd round, got pieces with an offensive lineman and a defensive tackle that, you build in the trenches, whether it's defense or offense. That's what we won the Super Bowl in 2017 with a great offensive line, a great rotation on the defensive line. And I bring it up, Williams. Is it Milton Williams? I always forget his name. Fletcher Cox had his best seasons in 16 and 17 when he was playing less than 60% of the snaps because he was able to rotate and be healthy and fresh for the big moments at the end of the game. Someone like Milton Williams, he's going to be able to step in and be a rotational piece pretty much immediately. And then when Fletcher Cox, he's 31, 32, he's not living up to that $100 million contract anymore. He might not be on this roster for many more seasons. You've got his replacement already ready to go. And I think that's huge. I love that pick. I didn't love it at that exact second, but then I stepped back and I realized it was a super smart pick. I actually think every single pick made in the draft, at least the first 5-6 rounds, you can come up with some kind of a justification. It was not just a great pick, but a smart pick at each spot.
I'm with you 100% on that. And
everyone
you look at,
you got the best sacks player in the world in Kenny G now.
Yeah. And I really think that Kenny G is going to be explosive in this offense. Talked about him before the draft and also Teron Jackson. So I was very excited to see both of them added. You talk about Patrick Johnson, the last pick. I think, it's very intriguing. We talk about, are we going to possibly have a stand-up rusher? Because who cares what you call it? 4-3-3-5. Right. No one cares. It's scheme based, and it's going to be who we're playing on the matchups, blah, blah, blah. Dude, you're going to have guys like maybe Derek Barnett could excel, with his hand out of the dirt, standing up a little. You have a guy like Jannard Avery who can play defensive end and linebacker. You have guys moving around, pieces that get me a little bit excited. So you're right. I thought every pick was pretty damn exciting when you go through it. You're like, okay, we got edge rushers, whether they're in the dirt or standing up. You got a guy in Jacoby Stevens, who I thought is going to be great. As a nickel coverage guy that could compete with Davian Taylor. I'm not saying he's going to be a great player. I'm saying he's great for the competition. You need one of those guys to really be that nickel linebacker you were hoping, the hybrid Joker type role. So I'm hopeful. The linebacker's very questionable. Outside corner.
Jonathan Gannon has done great work in his coaching career, developing, growing, getting the most out of okay talent and turning them into great talent at linebacker. Just like Nick Sirianni and the wide receiver development, something that we haven't done. Jonathan Gannon with linebacker and even a cornerbacks to an extent, he's developed those positions. And that's what we've been lacking on this team for probably 2 or 3 regimes now, is development of players. Chip Kelly's regime didn't develop players. Doug Peterson's regime didn't develop players. So, everything to get excited about this coaching staff, Gannon on defense, is they develop players. If you look at their past, that's all they do. Develop, develop, develop.
Phil, that's all I've been preaching the last couple months. Thank you so damn much. Everyone talks about how much these players suck the last few years. This guy sucks. This guy sucks. Oh, well, then why does he go to another team? Why does he go to another team and excel? And I'm just talking about, it doesn't matter who, but insert whatever name. A guy gets cut and he goes and he's explosive somewhere else. And you're like, wait a minute. maybe it's because we can't develop players here. So you hit the nail on the head for me. That's exactly what they have literally failed to develop anyone. And it pisses you off. And I'm going to be real with you. Sirianni gets me excited. All the coaches, you talk about Shane Steichen as the offensive coordinator, Brian Johnson, even Kevin Patullo, these guys that have worked with quarterbacks, receivers that are going to come in, help these young men. And you said it earlier, Jalen Hurts has no excuse now. You've given him, and you have a Super Bowl champion quarterback there to also help you as your backup. So you got a lot of help here, and I'm excited as hell, man. But you said it, Gannon. I'm very excited, and that's what I was leading into. You talk about the questionable linebacker room. You talk about outside corner being questionable. Zach McPherson, a great pick, and he can play inside, outside. He can play zone, man, but I don't want to throw him outside right away. I think Gannon, if anything, could definitely help him. But I think he could be groomed if you added a Steven Nelson outside. Let Avonte Maddox play inside for a game or two. Let McPherson take the job, and, there we go. But I want to know your thoughts on McPherson, and what do you think, is there hope if we don't add a corner? Do you have hope? Because I do like Gannon, like you said, and I think he's really does well developing young guys.
I think McPherson, you really need to be patient with him. I don't think he's ready to step in and start on the outside. I'm not even sure if he's ready to step in and start in the slot. I mean, let's be honest here. Most defenses, especially last year, you were running 5 defensive backs most of the time. So if you're the nickel cornerback, you're pretty much a starter. You're playing as many snaps as anybody else. Please, 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 I don't want to see Avonte Maddox on the outside.
Exactly.
I'd rather just take our licks with Craig James or whoever else is on the roster in the outside, because Avonte Maddox is not an outside cornerback.
Yeah,
can McPherson be that? Maybe, but they definitely need a Steven Nelson, or even I know I saw the rumors floating around this past weekend, that Richard Sherman has been getting recruited by a couple Eagles players. You need at least a 1-year stopgap from a veteran, A, to take some of the pressure off Darius Slay, but B, to get Zach McPherson and some of these other young guys that they have ready to go. You got to give Gannon and the coaching staff time. I know everybody wants win, win, win right now, but as I keep getting reminded by my boy George, who checks in on every show that we do on Wednesday nights, this is not an instant fix. We're not going for the Super Bowl this year. We're laying the groundwork this year for the rest of this team going forward, and you really got to be patient with these guys. The problem is you throw Zach McPherson starting cornerback 2 game 1 of the season, and he fails. You don't know what his mental makeup is, whether he can handle that failure. So you need some time. So you got to do something to give him some time to develop.
Phil, anybody who watches this show is probably laughing their ass off. I love it.
It's just a repeat of everything you've been saying.
I love it, man. Phil, anyone that is knowledgeable can see that. Thank you. It's like, I feel like I'm talking to a wall half the time. I'm like, wait, do I not? Because last year I was adamant. Do not put Avonte Maddox out there. Don't you do it. What do? Oh, they did it. And sure enough, we found out the hard way. And you're right. Here's the thing. The reason I said by 1 or 2 games, McPherson's, replacing him is because I don't want Maddox starting. And that's the conundrum you find yourself in. Mm-hmm. I don't want McPherson rushed in. And I've been saying that. If you throw him out there, what's going to happen? Don't break this kid, because I have high hopes. Dude, I couldn't agree more with you. And I really think high hopes, but adding a veteran, a Steven Nelson, a Richard Sherman, whatever it needs to be.
There's other names out there,
Arian Conley, whatever. Yeah.
You got to get somebody on a 1-year fill in, grooming mentor role there, because you're really going to ruin. We could go back and say Sidney Jones was thrown out there too soon, and his confidence was shot. And Jalen Mills, his confidence was never shaken, but he was constantly bounced from place to place to fill in for these guys. You got to give these guys time to develop, and we're gonna lose a lot of games this year. Let's be honest. It's not just about power positivity. It's honest and being realistic with ourselves. We don't just want to throw these guys to the birds, and let them let their whole careers be ruined. So you got to have time. So you need a stopgap guy, somebody that can come in here and also take some of the pressure off of Slay, because Darius really took a beating last year. And he kind of wanted that beating because he wanted to, be that guy, but he wasn't big play Slay last year, was he? If you really look at it,
he got beat up by some tough dudes back to back.
He had
some of the top guys.
He faced 4 or 5 borderline Hall of Fame wide receivers right in a row. And he told Jim Schwartz that, look, I know we got other issues. I'll take the brunt of that.
I
You
respect
gotta respect that he
And look what was
manned up.
around him.
Yeah. Well, that's another whole positive thing about the defense. I don't want to be negative on your show, but Jim Schwartz isn't here anymore. Jim Schwartz isn't here anymore.
No. We're honest here. So please.
That is a step forward for the defense.
We're positive where it needs to be. And I love what you said there, and that's what I tell everybody. I try to tell them every day, even when you add an outside corner, if you do that, we're not Super Bowl bound here this year, guys. Temper your expectations. And that's how you can go into this season optimistic, because you don't have to go in being like, oh, we're going to beat everyone. We're the best ever, talking shit at the grocery store to the old lady wearing the cowboy shirt. No, you are going to be a little tempered this year, guys. We're all going to calm it down and be like, you know what? We're going to wait and see. But man, did we do a great job adding some young talent. Next year, we got about $40 million in cap space. We might have 3 first-round picks. So if Hurts turns out to be great, wow, you could bolster this defense. You could really add some studs. So this year, you need to do things like adding a veteran, like you said, that would help grow these guys for the future. It's not just about this year. So if you're looking at this as a few-year plan, guys, look at it as, hey, we had a damn good first year, off to a good start. Let's see how these guys play together. I think, I made a post the other day, and I've been saying it for a while. Perfect yin and yang with Sirianni and Hurts. Sirianni so fun and outgoing and, motivational. And not to say that Hurts isn't motivational, but dude, he has a different motivation. He's got that swagger. And he's, a guy you want to be around, a leader. But you also have to be good and talented. So that's great. That's awesome. And, people get excited like, oh, man, he's so badass. And that gets me excited that he's a leader, because you don't want to see a guy that's a wimp coming out and not being able to, this guy wanted to play last year from week 1. So, he's a competitor. He's going to come in and he's going to do his best. I know that. And I think if with the right coaching, which we have, we're going to run the ball, I do believe. And with a defense that actually, doesn't just sit there behind the fence, I think that, we actually might see some great things from him, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Hurts has a major chip on his shoulder. He has, since he lost. I hate when players lose their starting job to injury. He lost
2 losses, right?
It's just unfortunate, and it's like he's had a chip on his shoulder. What was that, his sophomore or junior year at Alabama? That chip has remained there, and he's wanted to prove everybody wrong the whole time. But actually, something else you had said a few moments before that, that kind of, I got a question for you on your show. See, I don't think we're in this rebuild, because I think football is different than baseball and basketball. I like to call it's retool. So the term that I like to use.
That's what I use.
Like, nobody knows what I'm talking about when I say it's not a rebuild.
Are you my clone? Are you my clone?
You develop this year, literally with the cap space, if Hurts is the guy and you've got 3 first-round picks next year, you don't have to take 3 years to get Super Bowl expectations. You can literally, if Howie has a good offseason this year, like he did
next year,
and it really turned in, if he has a good offseason next year, we might be division favorites next year, because let's admit it, the NFC East is a dumpster fire. So it's very easy for us to take over the division.
I think we could win the East this year. It's going to be tough.
If things go the right way, we could. And I'll
that
say
offensive line stays healthy.
We battled, me and Jeff, one of my co-hosts on All About the Birds, battled in the middle of the season last year, the end of that season, and we're battling again this offseason. That he's like, no, it's better to miss the playoff. I'm like, I'd rather make the playoffs at 6-10. At least you get the young guys some playoff experience, because it's a different game in the playoffs. So, I'm all for it.
You're old school like me, Phil. I love you, dude.
Win. And then when they lose, then you move on.
Yep. I'm with you, dude. I was there till the end last year. I was right with you, man. Let them get that experience, dude. And I love it. And I always tell people that, and they always throw rebuild at me. And I say, it's retool, guys. We're not rebuilding. We blew it all up. Did you see who stayed? Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson's here, Brandon Brooks. These guys are restructuring their contracts to help younger guys get here. Some of these free agents. Yep. You look at, you had said earlier, Howie Roseman, what he did this offseason. Dude, all of these guys he signed, no matter what money you're looking at, look at the cap. That's what matters to us. All these guys are under $2 million, from Joe Flacco to Eric Wilson to Ant Harris. Yeah, Kerryon Johnson's under $1 million. Dude, these guys are all under those cap hits. That's fantastic. We still have almost $5 million right now. Once you sign Landon Dickerson, still have around $4 million in cap space. Steven Nelson, some kind of corner. Anybody, for the love of God, please. But, I think, as we were talking about this draft, just talk about this team. And that's what I love about having just true diehard fans on, because when you get to talking, it just gets going. And really, I was going to talk about this upcoming season, but that's kind of what we were bleeding into every time we had a chance to talk. And, you talk about it this year to me isn't really that important when it comes to wins and losses. Of course, I want to win every week. I'm an Eagles fan. It's going to make sure I don't jump through this wall or out the window. I'm trying to be happy, but let's temper our expectations, right? But, I just want to hear your thoughts a little bit. What are you really focused in on this training camp and preseason? What are the battles you're looking for? Let's talk a little bit about that before we head out, and what you're looking forward to with those competitions and this upcoming season.
Well, the thing in the camp that I'm looking forward to the most isn't even the players. It's the coaches. I want to, see how they're handling practice. We're trying to set up to go to one of the open practices, how they handle practice, like what they're doing, because obviously what the last regime was doing wasn't working. And you got a lot of young, energetic guys, and we have a young team, but we also have a lot of old teams. You bring up Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks. How do these young coaches connect with these older vets? So I'm really interested in that. And I'm also interested in seeing how they're going to handle in camp developing. I'm going to throw a name out here at you. A guy that's been crapped on by every Eagles fan, including me a few times, but a guy that hasn't been developed or been given any time to develop is one Ortega-Whiteside.
Ortega-Whiteside?
A second-round pick, okay? A guy I called was going to break out last year. I don't write articles very often, and if I do, it's only because I have no other choice. I wrote an article about his breakout season coming last year, because you don't just lose second-round talent. A second-round talented player, you have to have some football IQ and ability. So does, Nick Sirianni's wide receiver guru-ness that he has, whatever that word is, I think I just made up wide receiver guru-ness. I don't know. Can he get something out of Ortega-Whiteside? Can he get something out of, a little bit more out of Greg Ward, Jalen Reagor? Like, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at not necessarily camp battles, but what the coaches are doing with these players to make them stand out. So that when we see game one of the preseason, which I know teams run like a very vanilla offense and defense in the preseason, but you can still look through the lines and see what's happening there. Do they learn how to get a little separation, make the tough catches, someone like John Hightower, who's got a lot of potential, but can't read a deep ball at all. Like, he can get to the deep ball, but he doesn't know how to find it.
Great route running, just can't catch it.
Exactly. Well, it's not that he can't catch it. He can't
find it.
He can't find it. So on first preseason game, I want to see a bomb to him to see if he's learned anything from these new coaches. So that's what I'm looking. I'm looking at the coaches 110%.
Love it.
Not necessarily their scheme, but their developmental abilities that we think they have, we hope they have, but honestly, we don't know, because none of them have been head coaches before. So we're really on a hope and a prayer here with them that they're going to be doing what we think. So that's what I'm honing in on the most, is what the coaches are doing with these young players.
I love it, dude, because, that's exactly what you have to look for. And it's very intriguing because all these guys, that's their first times with their positions, head coaches and coordinators. And, it's fun to, this guy knows this. And he said, but we don't know, you're right. But I think this team, it really, it's fun to get excited about, but you have to temper your expectations. And, what was exciting to me was, because of COVID, all this stupid stuff, it was unfortunate. We didn't have 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s, I think, but this new coaching staff was able to, sit there and get individual workouts with guys and get to individually get to know these guys, know their strengths, weaknesses. We know what the strengths and weaknesses are on this team. Unfortunately, didn't see it in practice yet. So we need to see that on the field, like you said. So I'm excited about that, but I'm hoping that time they spent, it's going to mean something to them, because you had mentioned earlier in the video, how do they connect with those veterans? We want to see now on the field, how were they able to connect with these young guys too? And so let's see what it looks like. And I'm excited.
I want to say, like, I almost consider last year's rookies this year.
Yeah,
because you bring up, COVID. I mean, they didn't have an off season. Someone like Kayvon Wallace, that people were calling him the next Brian Dawkins or this or that. I mean, the guy couldn't see the field, whether it was because he wasn't that good or because the coaching staff never gave them, the time to develop. Now you actually have OTAs and, workouts, and you're seeing them all together. Davion Taylor, another one. Young guys that were drafted fairly early last year. This is almost like their rookie camp, basically, So I'm looking forward to seeing what this coaching staff can do. And I chat with Chip. I don't know if you know Chip, one of the All About the Birds co-hosts. He's a teacher. He's a middle school teacher. So he spent this entire last year doing Zoom teaching. And I asked him on a recent show, we were talking about the same thing. Having them in person, even if it's just, in the wide receiver room looking at tape versus doing it over Zooms like they did last year, you're going to be able to teach them and get their attention so much more. Because when you're doing it on Zoom, even adult players, they're grown-ups, they're sitting here playing with their phones and whatnot. They're not really truly focused in learning. You need to have their attention by being in person with them. So I'm super excited about all that aspect with a new coaching staff, new energy. Let's teach these guys something so that next year, hey, maybe we have, some real expectations for this team.
How about it? I agree with you 100%. These guys didn't have that offseason. They didn't have that preseason. It was so weird, man. And this team was falling apart everywhere. There was injuries everywhere. So it was hard to really see what was going on. And, I love what you said about the preseason earlier. I love the preseason where people get, I hate it. It's vanilla. It's like, yeah, it's supposed to be. They don't want to give away what they're doing. They're looking for certain things. And if you know what you're looking for, like you said, watch for what you're looking for in each player, what kind of competition they're going against. So gauge your excitement when, this guy had 8 sacks. It's like, yeah, he's going to get 4th string offensive lineman. So temper your expectations once again, guys. So we can get excited this offseason, but it's going to be a lot of young guys. Quez Watkins, very excited about these guys. But this is a year where don't get pissed off. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm not even going to get mad. As long as they fight, they look like they're holding each other accountable. Damn, that's something different than last year, right? The last couple of years, because it's like nobody's holding each other accountable. It's too much. I can't do it anymore, and I'm happy for the change. I'll be real with you, Phil. Phil, dude, that time just flew by. I don't even know how it happened.
31 minutes already? Jeez.
I can't believe it. I really can't, man. We're going to have you on again, definitely, especially when training camp starts next month. This has been awesome talking to you. I feel like you're my clone, and I can't wait. And you really are active today. I was in Hershey, and I got 800 notifications. You were talking to everybody. I can't wait to actually sit down tonight and try to interact with you guys. But oh my God, you're awesome. So if you guys aren't
the
following
person that's commenting in the comments section, yeah, it is a Shane Falco jersey back there. He noticed it over my shoulder. That's right.
There we go, dude.
Because the Eagles need a little Falco. They need, as they say in the movie, a little heart. They didn't have any of that last year.
We got some replacements, and you talked about, with the coaching staff and everything else. So maybe Falco can come in, maybe a little pep talk. Maybe he can come back in as John Wick and kick some. I don't know what he's got to do here, but this team, it's got me excited because you're right. Howie did good. We're off to a good start in this couple-year plan here, and you're right, man. We could be competing the next couple of years, and I firmly believe that. Phil, I would like to give this time to you. First off, I want to thank, Rob, Sam, George, Eagles Inc., everybody for tuning in tonight. You guys are awesome. If you're watching this later, you want to comment, please feel free to do so. And most thanks to Phil for joining us tonight, man. You guys, please go out there, follow him. He's doing big things. Check him out. Let these people know one more time where they can find you. And any final words you have, Phil, thank you again, man.
Hey, again, Beard of Knowledge saying thank you so much for having me on. That's what I want to forward again. This is the easiest 33-minute show I've ever done in my life. It's just so natural. Me and you, we got this. It was perfect. But again, you can find me at Beard of Knowledge on Twitter. I pride myself on being able to interact with each and every one of you. Any comments, questions will not be pushed aside. I will interact with each and every person. All About the Birds, Wednesday nights, 9:15. Once the season starts, we do post-game shows live right after the games. And of course, my fantasy golf, because fantasy golf is a thing. And it's the best way to make money there is out there. The greatest roller coaster. Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Fairway to Heaven.
I know, check it out, man.
I know you love that name, Fairway to Heaven.
Dude, that's my favorite band, dude. So, dude, come on, love it. I might actually have to watch because basketball's over, football's over, and I need something to gamble.
You can make some money on fantasy golf, but that's where you can find me. And again, I'm just very thankful to be on this show. Much appreciated for you having me on.
Course, dude, and we will definitely do this again very soon. And again, thank you to everyone out there for tuning in. I hope you guys are off to a great start this week. I know it's Monday, but let's have a great week. I'll be back tomorrow. And Phil, seriously, thank you so much again. We'll have you on again soon. Everyone, stay safe out there. If you need anything, reach out to me. Have a great night, and as always, go Birds!